Hello, my name is Dr. Evan Hughes and welcome to the Vitality Project. Today's subject is pain. Nobody likes to experience it. What I would love to share is knowledge about pain, how it works, and how you can make it more your friend. If I drop a brick on your foot and you don't feel any pain, are you healthy or are you sick because of that lack of pain? And the answer is, you have to be sick. Someone who has a brick dropped on their foot needs to feel it in order they can get the guy to go away who dropped the brick on their foot. Or if you step on a tack, not to step all the way down. Touch the hot stove, pull it away, etc., etc., etc. The more you know about pain, the more you can learn to read what your body is trying to tell you. Pain is absolutely a part of life. We're always moving in and out of harmony with our environment and what's happening to us. Pain is an indicator. But it's not always as straightforward as the brick, the tack, or touching the hot stove. So there are three basic premises I want to go through about how to read your pain. Number one is the scale of the pain. And this is very important. If you go into a medical office and they're evaluating you and they say, rate your pain, is it mild, moderate, moderately severe, or severe? And they don't talk about the fifth one, numbness. After you're done working through the scale, eventually your body stops feeling. I'll give you an analogy. Guys, we punch each other in the arm. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Oh, nice to see you, man. How's it going? You got a line of 20 guys. Beers flying around, you can see it. Hey, how are you? First hit doesn't feel bad at all. Then it starts to become uncomfortable. Then it becomes excruciating. If I were to punch the person enough in the arm, eventually they would feel nothing. The pain would entirely shut off. If we're talking about something that's happening in the acute sense, very short term, it's pretty easy to figure out that was painful, that wasn't. But if it's something that happens over a long period of time, even years, 20 years, one example of that might be sitting at a computer desk in a posture that's causing you to round, causing issues and tensions through the body. You may not be picking up the signals until way later, and then the body's moved into numbness. This is something that frightens people about inside-out medicine, medicine that unwinds you and begins to restore your health. Because they went from numb, which some people associated with fine, to then all of a sudden, as they heal, they start to experience pain that they didn't have before. It's absolutely, in the majority of cases I have found, a sign of healing. The person's going from numbness into a state of pain and they become alarmed. I was talking to them about it, but no, the pain showing up is not always a bad thing. Sometimes it's the body bringing inflammation, which you need in order to continue the healing process. Make sure to see our clip on inflammation. A second major premise on pain is having a knowledge of how our nervous system responds to stress. There's a thing called the autonomic nervous system, which is a cool way of saying automatic. You don't have to think about it. You don't know how to beat your heart. And I've been trained as a doctor. I had to go through 9 years of a whole lot of very thick textbooks. I have no idea how to beat my heart. None. It's a good thing my body knows and it takes care of it. That's what makes it autonomic. There are two major branches of the autonomic nervous system. Sympathetic, which starts with an S, think about stress. Or parasympathetic, starts with a P, think about P. These two systems are the different states we tend to walk around in. Parasympathetic is peaceful. It's where we do digestion, it's where we do healing, it's where sex is initiated. Over here we have the sympathetic nervous system for stress. This is fight or flight, this is strength. We're doing this taping in Massachusetts, and whenever you're cut off in Massachusetts traffic and the guy didn't use his blinker, that's probably never happened to you, but it's happened to me. Actually, it happens all the time. All of a sudden you get a rush through your body, a shot of adrenaline and the hormone cortisol, and a branch of your nervous system, all of the sympathetic nerves begin to fire. The blood moves out of the digestive system and immunity becomes less active. Instead, the focus of the body goes into the musculature, particularly the large muscles, and into the reflexes of the brain. If you need to catch an arrow out of the air, man, that's the time. When your body is jacked up, as my 4-year-old son likes to say. One of the things about the sympathetic nervous system is it suppresses the ability to feel type C nerve fibers. which are the ones responsible for pain. This is a very good thing. If you're running from a tiger and you need to save your life, and you step on a tack as you're busy running away from a hungry tiger, you don't care about the tack. If you dealt with the tack and pulled the tack out so you're comfortable, then you get eaten. That wasn't a very effective evolutionary trait. So when we're in times of stress, when we're in times of being nervous, the tendency is not to feel what's happening. Once you relax, the slower type C nerve pain fibers all of a sudden give you the signals. Well, this is interesting. Some people remain in a state of sympathetic dominance for an entire work week. They're nervous about handling things at work. They have to drive home. There are things to deal with. And by the time the person goes to bed, they've been ignoring pain signals the entire time. When they wake up the next morning, the person says, wow, I must have slept wrong. Well, this drives me crazy because sleeping is an unconscious activity. Your body is telling you how to sleep. And everybody does a little bit different. My 4-year-old sleeps like one of the Three Stooges. You know, when you run on the ground, woo, boo, 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 boo. I never know how he's going to wake up in the morning. It's always different. Some other people sleep peacefully, but it's an unconscious thing. And your body is working for you. And so the idea that you slept wrong is saying your body made a mistake, and it's very rarely the case. What's almost always true in the cases that I have found and checked people as a chiropractor is the body was absolutely locked and defending itself and fighting something. You didn't feel it until your body reacted. Another example of this is people who don't get sick until just before they go on vacation. The body all of a sudden takes the moment of being able to relax because of the impending vacation to express all the symptoms and do all of the cleaning it needs to do. Same as with the pain fibers. All of a sudden the body gives you a report of what's actually happening underneath because you did the right thing, because you relaxed. Learning to make friends with your pain and learning to read it is a huge part of reading the body and navigating it as you go through the system and unwinding yourself. The last one is association, and a fancy word is decussation, the moving from side to side. I have found taking care of people, particularly when their pelvis is unstable, they'll say, I have issues here, I have issues here. They almost always guess wrong. And one of the reasons for that is if the body is protecting itself from something that overwhelmed it, whether it was physical, mental, or chemical, something gets in, it was more than you could handle, and it creates a freeze or a lock in some part of the body. It's locked it down. It's like locking a room of the house. You don't have access to it anymore. And so the signals stop coming as easily. The body has shut it down. The mind is saying, no, that's under quarantine. We're not going to talk about it. But the body needs to know, you need to know that something's happening, and so you end up manifesting pain on the other side. In acupuncture, there's a saying, they always treat with needles the opposite side to slowly access the place that's locked. So knowledge that the pain signals come from different sides of the body and different places means it's not necessarily what the problem is. In order to learn to diagnose yourself, you can move, think, and eat differently, and just pay attention to it like an indicator light. Not necessarily that it's coming from here, but that this is the one informing you that something's going on elsewhere in the body. The last, and one of the most important ones to understand in American culture, particularly how we're doing things, is the concept of accumulation. If I touch a hot stove and it hurts and I pull it away, I know exactly where the pain came from. If I've been doing the same job, whether it's shoveling, snow shoveling for example, or computer work, or I'm under a lot of stress for another reason, and it builds and builds and builds and builds 200 times, the last time you do something is the one you blame. You said that's the one that caused the problem. It might not be. Pain can absolutely accumulate in the system in the form of inflammation or in the form of what we call microtrauma. A macrotrauma is being hit by a bus. Macro means big. Buses are big. A microtrauma, like a microscope, is something that happens a little bit over time, a little bit over time. Something that accumulates will give you confusing pain signals, and reverse engineering it can take a little bit of patience and time. So, the next time your pain comes around, do your best to have a little bit of gratitude that your nervous system is functioning and that it's working for you, and by all means, learn to read yourself. You will ultimately be your best doctor in this respect. My name is Dr. Evan Hughes, and thank you for participating in the Vitality Project.